Is there a pick? I'm not sure.
Alti.tv.
Welcome back, everybody, to Not University Mixed Nationals 2021 here in Birmingham, brought to you by Alti TV in collaboration with Hive Ultimate. My name is Luke Burgess, and I'm joined in the booth by Gigi Morrison for this group stage game between York 1 and Jesters. What are your thoughts on this game, Gigi?
So far, both teams seem pretty ready to go. They were just waiting on the sideline ahead of the previous game. I believe this is their first game of the weekend so far, so they're going to be warming up into it. The conditions, again, not ideal. It's been either drizzling or raining quite heavily all morning, and that's going to be continuing throughout today. Hopefully no thunder or lightning. But York starting out on defense, Jesters on offense. Off we go.
And a solid pull from York to start out this game as Jesters move quickly around the back. And a deep shot, blading, just not quite in front of the receiver. And the York defender reels that in comfortably. So York with an early break opportunity. Vertical stack. Offense cut from the back, but just popping out of the chest. We've seen that a few times in the previous game. Players maybe not respecting the moisture on the disc. As Leicester get another chance to put this first point away. Shot to the end zone. Layup block. Maybe got a fingertip to it, and it was just enough to force the drop, making up for the earlier drop on offense. York find the reset. Not much movement downfield. Hammer over the top to the break side. Reeled in comfortably. Pop to the middle. And a swing. Another deep shot, but blades once again. And Jesters just rushing that first play a little bit too casual on the swing. As York get another break opportunity. Good cut to the open side. Deep shot to the end zone. It's floating. There's a receiver. Reels it in nice and comfortably. And York go one up with a break.
Couple of turnovers to start this game. Both teams maybe just not necessarily concentrating on their cuts a little bit or who their receivers are. But York doing really well to just get a beautiful blading shot into the end zone for the first point. Here we are, unfortunately going to be seeing quite a few slippy disc drops throughout today. Jesters compared to York seem to have significantly fewer bodies to put on the line. York have got quite a strong roster.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes into play. The games aren't too long, and it's just the start of the tournament, so maybe they'll be okay For now, at least. So York on defense once again for the second point of this game. Coming down with match defense. Nice and tight so far. Jesters struggling to generate any options. Big bladey backhand reset. Nice little open side pop. And just as Jesters looked like they were getting some momentum, this just slips through the hands. And York now with possession. So that disc floats. Another lead pass to the end zone. And a comfortable break for York. 2 passes and they score.
A pretty standard but well executed 1-2 cut setup from York. Something I am just noticing though, and that I am taking a little bit of issue with, the jerseys. Both very dark colors. Like if I were to be playing, I would be very confused. And I'm not even colorblind. If somebody were to be colorblind, this could be quite an issue. Somebody must have a light, surely.
So Leicester trying to put their first point on the board as a pick is called in the stack. Unsurprising given how closely the players were positioned. And Jesters could really do with this point. Momentum is not in their favor at all right now. But York's defense looking good, and a little overthrow on that open side forehand gives York the disc once again. Let's see if they can convert as comfortably as last time. Cut from the back of the stack. Throw finds the mark. Give and go up the line, but just a little bit too far. But it's a good position for York to play defense from. Jesters trapped on the end zone line. Not a huge amount of movement downfield. A few players cutting to the same place, but good grab. Keeps the disc alive as they try and generate some movement. But another unforced error on the reset will give York a short field. Have to imagine they'll convert this time.
York have called something. An official play works out really well, giving them another score.
Yeah, really nice. IO backhand to break the mark. To a well-executed cut to the break side. Gets them their third break in a row. And they are up 3-0 early on in this game. Looking strong.
So one thing to note about this tournament is the gender matchups. So we're currently going with gender rule A, which is ABBA. So you start off with one gender ratio starting on A, the next for B, and then switching in between that. But a newer rule that is coming into play is also that the majority gender ratio is pulling. You can discuss with the other team. If you're not comfortable with that, then you can just do gen zone. But it tends to be the case that the majority gender is pulling. So we're actually seeing a lot more women learning how to pull, and that's fantastic to see right now.
And how do you feel about that rule as a female marking player in the mixed division?
I love it. Like, it's making everything a little bit more of an even playing field in a way. But it's also encouraging women to take deep shots, like we're seeing now.
Yeah, Jesters coming out hot. The start of this point. Nice deep shot down the line. Finds himself on the front of the end zone. Scuba just to a defender, though. Not out into the space it needed to be. That is unfortunate. Let's see if York can convert the full field. They've been given a few short fields recently. Let's see how they look from their own end zone. Nice lead pass. Gets them out into space. Finds the reset. Well reeled in on that high disc. York looking pretty comfortable, but that throw just a little bit too far, and the poach out in the lane gets the block. But York so far have been relying on getting short field turnovers, so they probably aren't too worried at this stage. But all it takes is a couple of deep shots from Jesters. And they might not be so pleased with that play. The disc is in, but not a huge amount of movement. Finds the swing. But the York defense is still well set up. That throw just a little bit too far. York once again with a fairly short field to work with. Setting up the vertical stack. It's an IO option, but cuts to the open side instead. Looks off the immediate swing. And hammer to the end zone. Finds the target, just about keeps the toes all the way in the end zone, and York go up 4-0.
Yeah, just a few unfortunate errors from both sides. Couple of turnovers again, potentially from the conditions. But we are also seeing some wonderful defense from both sides. Remember, if you're watching live, you can chat to us in the stream. So Luke is on the YouTube chat for Hive and Ulti TV. You can contact us through Instagram as well. So both Ulti TV, Hive Ulti. I have my own Instagram as well. It's GG_17. Feel free to send us suggestions, ask us questions, give us some comments, heckle us, whatever you want to do. Just be kind, please.
So York with the pull once again, looking for their 5th point in a row. As Jesters setting up a little bit deep, given the quality of that pull. And York with an immediate block, immediate pop to the end zone, reeled in. And that's 5 in a row for York.
2 receivers on the end of that throw there. He had an absolute choice. One of them might have stolen it away, I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say. York have definitely warmed up into this game. They've kind of warmed up to the conditions. There isn't too much of a breeze, thankfully, so that's not a factor that has to be too strongly considered. But just briefly going back to the new gender pulling rule, I'm definitely a huge fan of it. I think it's going to give people who don't usually get to pull a much better opportunity to learn how to take deeper shots and more confidence in taking deeper shots. Even though it's pulling, it's slightly different, but you have to learn how to throw deep in a way to learn how to pull as well. What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, I'm a big fan of it. For a long time, the mixed division was still kind of male dominated, and to some extent it is, just because there are more men playing Ultimate than women. But these new rules that sort of force the game to be played more equally, encouraging equal numbers of players on the roster with the prescribed end zone rules, the prescribed gender rules, and also the gender pulling is a great step in the right direction. And I look forward to seeing how it works out at the World Games next year. So Jesters looking for their first point of the game still. And that open side poach from York gets the job done. As Jesters now try a bit of zone defense. But a big blady swing gets them off the sideline, gets the movement through the zone, and there's a wide open receiver deep downfield, just a few meters outside the end zone now, and comfortable backhand secures the point, and that's 6 in a row for York.
Super intelligent play from York so far. They really try and measure the situation, measure what's happening around them rather than just punt it and hope for the best. So you saw a deep shot down the sideline. The receiver waited for the disc to come back in. Was just really patient, making sure that they actually caught the disc. And then also the secondary pass, so the assist actually into the end zone, making sure that it got to the receiver really well. York now 6-0 up. You're seeing us on camera right now. Hi everyone. Welcome to Not University Mixed Nationals. We're live here with Ulti TV. Hi Ulti, we've got Felix on camera. There he is. He's been working really hard so far, and we're only 2 games in. He's got a long weekend ahead of him. Got a fantastic team behind us as well. And we're hoping that you're going to enjoy some of the action.
Yep, it's an absolutely jam-packed schedule. So much Ultimate to be played. This is just game 2. So York are 1 point away from taking half in these group stage games to 13. As Jesters take their time bringing the disc in. Short vertical stack downfield. Nice early movement. But good defense from York. Doesn't present any options. Jesters finally finds something on the open side. This is good match defense from York. And there's the run through D. The reward for 15 or so seconds of hard defense. So they look to set up their offense. Nice and disciplined so far. He's taking the open side options. Nothing too fancy. Textbook vert stack ultimate. There's the swing to the far side. Bit blady, but nicely reeled in. Very deep stack. Handler's just being patient though. But that throw just a little bit too high. And Jesters find themselves with a full field to work down. So Jesters bring the disc in, almost to Callahan. But the height from Jesters wins out on this occasion. An interesting choice to go for that disc with one hand. The rain is still falling. The disc is very slippy. Even more important than usual to get both hands to the disc. As York, with the cut from the front, put in their 7th point in a row to take half.
Yeah, a few more unfortunate turnovers. York taking half now, 7-0. We're going to take a quick break as well. We'll catch you back in the second half in a few minutes.
Welcome back to Ulti TV's coverage of Not University Mixed Nationals 2021 in collaboration with Hive Ultimate. My name's Luke Burgess, joined by Gigi Morrison, and we are just about to get underway with the second half of this group stage game between York 1 and Jesters. Pretty dominant first half for York.
Yeah, that's definitely one way of putting it. York, I feel like have warmed up into this game a little bit more. Jesters are still trying to find their ground, but they also have fewer players. They only have 2 subs currently. Hopefully that won't reduce throughout the weekend, but if I were to make any sort of suggestions for the Jester team, if I could at any point, it would be just to throw the first available option. They seem to be looking off quite a few available cutters, and whenever they do find a cutter that they want to throw to, it's not coming off or it's being defended. But we've got York now starting off the second half on offense.
Yep, first 0 point for York this whole game. They started on defense and put in every single break in the first half. But deep shot. Ooh, that was so close. 2 receivers available, only 1 defender. But not quite able to reel it in. But Jesters with the early turnover. Give York a short field once again. It looks like Jesters are going to switch to match defense from their initial zone look. York lead pass into the end zone. That's just a bit too easy.
Well, it's pretty textbook offense. York are running it really well. They seem to have developed structures even throughout this whole mess of a pandemic. They're sticking to some sort of structure and sticking to playbooks after so long off, and it's really wonderful to see that they're actually executing it really nicely. So that's now York 1 up 8-0. The rain has died off a little bit. I can kind of see maybe a mile into the distance now rather than half a mile, which is quite nice. You can see beautiful Walsall in the background.
Just a quick reminder, if you are enjoying today's coverage, do hit the subscribe button on the Hive Ultimate YouTube channel and also the Ulti TV YouTube channel. And if you want to financially support the broadcast, head over to the Ulti TV Patreon. We can sign up to become a member, help us broadcast even more events as Tournament Ultimate returns to Europe. A decent pull from York. And I'm pretty sure that hit the foot. Oof. They will play on as if it wasn't a drop pull, but I'm pretty sure I heard that hit their foot. But anyway, the players agreed it wasn't a drop pull. And fortunately, York get the turnover anyway. So that lead pass just floated into the hands of the deepest defender. Nice up line cut from York. Just a few meters outside the end zone now. Nice discipline from York to take the reset and then the swing. Just keep the disc moving. Nice up line cut once again. Almost poached, but comfortable offense from York. As we were saying earlier, the discipline from York's offense is quite impressive, particularly for a uni team and particularly for a uni team that hasn't had that many opportunities to play over the last year and a half. And York's not a huge uni, but every now and then they do put out some quality rosters. Be interesting to see how far they go in this particular tournament.
I like how you mentioned that because you went to York Uni. You can't even deny it. We saw some interesting tactics from Jesters in that last point. Definitely some gender mismatch marking for match defense. Particularly so close to the end zone. If you're setting up in a zone, it kind of makes sense if you're going to have a gender mismatch, just because that's the nature of a zone in mixed. But switching into match, maybe they just didn't have an opportunity to communicate to each other that they had a mismatch or wanted to switch. Maybe just wanted to get as much pressure on as quickly as possible. But also, that drop pull was a bit contentious.
So York on defense, trying to get their 10th in a row as Jesters immediately turn over against the York zone. York happy to just give and go down the pitch. Those first few passes. Just outside the end zone now, and completely free receiver in the front corner. That's 10 in a row for York.
Yeah, York really capitalising on that turnover. They genuinely didn't waste any time. It pretty much fell into the York defenders' hands, but bouncing off the ground. Saw some wonderful mixed play there. Just wonderful give-go and straight into the end zone. The rain has thankfully died off a little bit. But do remember, if you're watching at home, send us a message in the chat. We are keeping our eyes on it. We will try to respond.
So, roly pull. Goes out about halfway on this near sideline. As York set up their zone once again. There is an option to the far side, but it's kind of risky, and the throw through the cup gets blocked. And York happy to play it slow. Set up their stack. And a good poach off the front of the stack. Gets the block. This is the downside of disciplined structured ultimate, as it is quite predictable. The defense can get involved for unexpected blocks. As York once again get a turnover on the first pass. York with the reset and the shot to the end zone. Finds the receiver. And that's York up 11-0.
York now 2 points away from taking this game. Games are capped at 13, except for the final, which is capped at 15. As we just get a quick replay from that last point. Yeah, we mentioned earlier on how disciplined York are, despite having probably not much time to train together. I guess that just gives credit to how much chemistry they've managed to develop, either over the years or just in the last few months as they've gotten back into gameplay. So this is a university tournament, but it's not an actual official UKU tournament. So this is, it could be considered a fun tournament depending on how you take it, but we are seeing a lot of teams wanting to really gain some experience, particularly for players who might not have either had much or any outdoor experience at all, and getting back into Frisbee after so much time off.
So the official word from the tournament director is this is indeed a fun tournament. Can confirm. So we will be keeping an eye out for anyone not having fun and insisting instead that they do have fun. As York get themselves a turnover. So a classic cut from the back of the stack. Gets York's offense moving. Several deep options downfield, but chooses the holster. Goes for the upline instead. Nice handler cut. There's an upline, but just floating a little bit too far. And receiver not able to reel it in, as Jesters choose to get the disc moving quickly before York can set up their zone. Nice around forehand to advance the disc up the field. And once again, just going up the line and hammer to the far side. Several defense receivers open, but slips through the hands. York now. Getting the disc moving nice and quickly. There's a receiver open in the end zone. And it looked like a good option, but the receiver was quite close to the sideline when the disc went up. Very narrow channel to throw into. So Jesters with another opportunity to get their first point of the game. Callahan opportunity for York. As Jesters struggling to advance the disc out of their own end zone. They find the swing, but only now just advancing the disc to their own brick mark. Working it down this near sideline once again. Finds the reset between the York defenders. Not many handlers back, level with the disc, but they're making it work anyway. Does give them more options downfield as they find a swing to the far side. Forehand over the top, but just goes straight to a York defender. Almost a block there from the recovering Leicester defender. York now looking into the end zone. Opts for the swing instead. And again to the far side. Just no defenders anywhere near these York handlers. And there's the IO break into the end zone, and York get the 12th in a row.
The Jesters were doing a really good job just taking their time, and they were starting to take the first available option that was presented in front of them, but just that their defense started to lack a little bit as York got that last offense. But unfortunately we don't have huge access to rosters, but we'll try to give you a shout out if we see you do something good. But Jesters number 61 was putting in absolute work on defense, just trying to slash across the pitch, but on the force as much as possible. So absolute credit to them. Really good job. We're now 12-0 up to York. This is game point. We do have some rosters in front of us, but unfortunately, even for York, it says York 1 or 2, so we can't guarantee that the people that we are giving a shout out to is on the actual team that we're giving a shout out to.
So Jesters have one more opportunity to not get bageled. If they don't put this one in, that's the end of the game. Layout Callahan attempted. Got to appreciate the effort. But Jesters keeping the disc alive. Just about managing to reel that one in. As both teams just settle down a little bit after the initial flurry of bids. So York now trying to end the game right here. It's Jesters poaching off the stack once again, making York work it through the handlers. Oh, an unfortunate drop. This was just a little bit too far to get two hands to it. So Jesters once again trying not to get bageled. Deep shot into space, but the York defender is there. Didn't quite catch it, but second bid was not available. York sticking with the vertical stack offense. As York look off the open woman and then overthrow it deep to one of their guys. Jesters now with the disc once again. Just working it down this open side. York now setting up on defense. Jesters up the line again, but just curves infield a bit too far. And York with another opportunity to finish the game. York with the deep shot. Oh, and an unfortunate turnover. Maybe shouldn't have looked off the open woman right at the start of that possession. Oh, hand block. Gets the follow-up D. And York now with the short field. They've been very consistent on the short field turnovers. Have to back them to finish it here, and that's a back of the stack cut call. Blade to this near side, but floats over everyone. So Jesters trying to work it down the field, get their first point on the board. Nice one-handed grab. Under pressure. So they work it down this far sideline. There's movement downfield, but not many open options. So they put it deep, but straight out the sideline. And York once again with a relatively short field to work with. Try and end this game without any reply from Jesters. So York bringing it in on the sideline. Poach in the open lane once again from Jesters. Deep shot to the back of the end zone. Receivers there. And they reel it in. And that is a perfect game for York. They win 13-0.
There's some fantastic gameplay from York. You could see how much discipline they had throughout the entirety of the game. Maybe slipping away a little bit in that last point. Looking off a couple of open options, rushing a few plays, but they can come away from this game with a few notes, take a break, and come into their next few games absolutely psyched. This has been York 1 versus Jesters, York winning 13-0.
Alti.tv.